Hi, it's a good day. I want to just talk about two things, just my two thoughts, things I've noticed in both the US and my thoughts on the US and the Nigerian stock market of recent. Let me start with the Nigerian stock market. Somebody was asking me that have I noticed what was happening in the Nigerian stock market and what's my take. So basically, a lot of people are seeing a lot of green, and this was what I told the person. From what I know of the Nigerian stock market and I've been observing, the first quarter of the year, you always see a rally. That's because end-year results for companies usually come out, and prior to now, before the revaluation and recapitalization of companies have pushed stock price to, for some stocks, almost like 6-7% increase. You have stocks that are in Nigerian stock market then that would usually give you almost like 15% dividend yield. Now we're talking about times that inflation was like 10%. So if dividend yields again alone was giving you 15%, that means you're getting a positive return of 5. And that's in addition to capital appreciation. So things like this, people were always waiting for it and positioning for you. And you know that dividend yield is dependent. For different people, it might differ depending on the price you buy. So if at the declaration of results or announcing of dividends, it was even 15, it means that if you look at your purchase price, if you had entered maybe like December, when it was usually deemed to be lower, you probably be doing 20% as dividend. That was then. Remember, the prices of stocks were much more lower compared to, because dividend is given from a company's earning. So if earnings have not grown in comparison to a stock's growth, it will be difficult to sustain that. So you might want to consider that it might not necessarily be as high. I haven't seen as high of recent. I've seen great dividend yields of like 10%, but I haven't seen as high. So 10%, when you look at it, you probably say compared to inflation, is probably you're getting if you're a long-term investor, you're probably getting your dividend yield is lower than inflation rate, but that does not still take into account capital appreciation, because there is capital appreciation. So when you are calculating your total yield, capital appreciation plus your dividend yield. Unfortunately, capital appreciation in stock, until you sell, you can't really ascertain that that's your capital appreciation. So for a stock that could be 90 today, it could draw down to 50 tomorrow. On global crisis, it could draw down to 20s, so until you lock in that profit or you take in profit, you can't really sell. So it's usually not, it's not unusual to see such rally at the beginning of the year. However, companies that rally, we always did know why they were rallying. So companies that were good dividends aristocrats, they would rally. Companies that had good earnings would rally. Companies with strong fundamentals would rally. There will always be the little part for traders, but yeah, companies like that will rally. But you need to know that their market was more, how do I call it, more, what do they call themselves, foreign investor populated. So those guys, they kind of like certainty, and they're coming from low rates place. So if they're coming from low rates where they see maybe like 2-3%, sub 5%, and you are willing to give them just maybe like 10% for their money, or 15 to 20% for their money, that's quite higher than what, and in a short period of time, that's quite higher than what they're getting per annum. So it's an advantage to them. So a lot of them would participate, and that will support the market. The market we currently have now is more of domestic and institutional investors. That's probably why we are not yet seeing the oil price effects on the market yet, because we are institutional investors going to go. These are local players that have a skin in the game. They are country people too, we are all in the country together. So you best don't want to crash your country for another man's work, especially when it's not affecting you yet. So we are still seeing the market rally and hold its gain. But yeah, there have been some one or two exceptions of companies that are just valuing unnecessarily. Good enough, there's no fundamental, there's no reason, they're just valuing. That's what I mean. Good enough, companies like that, good enough, the NGX is positioned so that you can your stock price cannot increase or decrease beyond 10% in a day. So that is good. That's a bit of safety. Even though companies like this will probably have gotten to 2,000 even in a day. So some of them have been delisted or suspended. Some are on delisting lists. Like I heard. But whatever you do, if the stock is going up, know why it's going up. If the stock is going down, know why it's going down. And so whether we are in a bubble yet, it remains to be seen, because first quarter we see rally. So let's see the second quarter go on. We see how the second half goes. Another thing you should know is that pension fund administrator had an increase in their percentage that they are to invest in equity markets. So that is also pushing the market up. If you notice, after that news subsided, the last week we had a negative return. We have seen a slowdown in the rally, the percentage rally, after that news, after they had put all their money. So that's how it should be. You know when the market is rallying, what is making it rally. At least then you can say, okay, this is what. It doesn't seem mean there are enough fraudulent players like we have seen. A couple of companies have been delisted, some are under suspension. You best want to know what you're doing, The market is and can be profitable, but know what you're doing. I would always advise you get someone to teach you, because generally about financial instruments investing, so that you can max it out, you can also protect yourself. Even as a 9-to-5 or an entrepreneur, at the end of the day, we are all here to make money. So if you don't understand what to do with your money, or how your politics and economic situation affect your money, you will be losing. Crude oil price right now is already hitting 112. That means your purchasing power has been eroded. It's going to have effect on you. Inflation is going to. What are you supposed to do at points like that? What are you supposed to look out for? And which is the best investment for you to do? That's why people are teaching it, so that you can best. For me, the last 10 years, I think that's one of the best things I ever learned. And I have a first and second degree in chemical engineering, but yet I still think that my little financial education was one of the best things that was given to me as a gift, and I still learn. There are shows I still listen to beef up, because I still see gaps and to get more information and stay informed. I see the effect of that in my life every day. It's not like some theoretical thing. When the cash comes for you with your money, when you invest your money and you see the cash monthly paying your bills, nobody needs to tell you how real it is. The fact that your bills are being offset already tells you that, man, this is a sector worth investing in or learning more in, whether knowledge or not. For US stock market, something I begin to realize is that I begin to wonder a couple of weeks back is, why do you create your market such that on a red day people are making money? So the shorts and the puts, and I'm like, that's why the market will yeah. If you look at the charts, over the years, the market has been going upward, does go upward. But when the sentiments are tilting towards negativity, you will see it have a very high rate on the market. So it will pull it down. So it's like, how do I put it? It's like you're doing tug of war. So you have the bears and you have the bull. So the sentiment is what determines where the pendulum will tilt to or shift to. So at the end of the day, when there's so much negative economic or geopolitical sentiment around, you see the bears winning. Where there is an optimistic sentiment and news around, you see the bulls winning. So because of that, although it will grow, it kind of slows down the growth. So a lot of times, even when I started trading the US stock market or investing, I was doing long term, but it was what I noticed. But I did long term because I wasn't available all the time. I was working. But I think it's one thing I have learned is, This is actually a good market for traders. It's more of a market for traders than investors. That's my thought. Traders will make more money from it than investors, because even before now, I was listening to someone online, a show I watch, and the guy was saying, see, this thing happened in 2020, 2022. If I wasn't following the market data, I would think he's lying, but it actually happened like that. At least I'm aware of 2020, 2022, 2025, so and the good thing is that, like I wrote in a write-up I shared today, it's nobody's telling you, restricting you on how to invest. So even if you're in Nigeria, you can buy shorts of a sector, so that if the bears are on, you'll still get something from it. Then you can also buy, you can buy the bulls, or you get the ones that even triple the returns of a particular sector. It's amazing what they are doing with all the stuff. It's really nice to see and amazing. And for now, I think it's a trader's market, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't invest. You have to know what you want to do and then decide. But I would say, for me right now, pausing on putting extra money in the US market, while I'm also doing more of the shorts trading, to just say one or two things. I'm not an expert trader as such. I'm very careful the amount, and I'm a strong believer of portfolio distribution. Most people will tell you, what are you diversifying on? You're a young person. I've watched those markets and I've seen people lose money, so I have also lost money, so I don't play that game. It's easy. You can be lucky 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but when you have stayed in the market for 20 years and then you tell me that, then I would maybe look at you and listen and see what you're saying. But when you see even people that trade, that have been long in the market, they trade fundamentally sound stocks. They don't just, and I'm sure those people, because once you're sure that your bills and nobody's going to be coming to cut your head, there's a boldness that comes to you even when you're investing. You can take you're better able to take risks when you are sure that your bills, you have your next meal coming. So if you have already sorted that out, it makes it easy for you to take risks. So you can actually go very risky when you are sure that this money that I'm using is not my money that I need to pay my children's school fees or pay my rent. So yeah, the US stock market, for now, I see it as a great trading market. As to whether this, but I believe that the sentiments will change very soon. Like the guy said, it always happens like this, and we've seen it, but I guess past experience is not a guarantee of future returns. So as always, being humans and not being able to predict the future, we always take the place of caution. So yeah, be a bit more caution, but hey, you could try your hands on trading if you want to, or you could sit down. If your stock is like me, you have some down stocks, wait it out. If you bought fundamentally sound stock, I feel they will see better days. Better days are ahead for stocks and companies like that. Yeah, at least those companies are definitely not going to give up without a fight. Yeah, so yeah, that is it. My financial instrument investing class is still ongoing. Yeah, you say Ash has come. I paid for what I know. I do research, but I'm grateful for the fact that the people that taught me. I feel that the money I paid, in comparison to what I got out of it, I felt like it wasn't compared. And it's not just about the money. A lot of people invest without information. When you hear people in chat groups saying something, some will say, I bought this stock, I can't sell. And then you'll be like, nobody told you about liquidity issue before you bought. A lot of things are going on and people are saying, buy this stock, you get 200. ZChix was increasing. All of a sudden, ZChix is suspended from trading in the stock markets. Whether it will come back or not, you get. This is, and you can optimize your process. You don't have to do just stock market. There are so many things. You can also understand how to fluctuate different, or how to move across different financial instruments, depending. You know what to look out for. You know when to somebody's giving you a good returns, you know how to play the markets, you know. Those are things that are being offered when people teach you stuff. And I like the way I do my own, because by the time you're done, before you finish, or before the end of the year that you actually did the class, you probably would have seen the return of the money you used for the class, depending on how much you're investing. So I don't see it as anything that is so much. Somebody will say, why not do it for free? It's because how the Bible puts it, wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. If you're not willing to put money to it, you probably will not take it serious, you know. And we always want to make sure that, yes, I want to make money, but we always want to make sure that people that are coming for the classes are also serious about it and are willing to use the knowledge, you know. So yeah, that if you are not willing to sit down in the class and probably pay for it, you probably not be able to make anything out of the class anyway. It's who that are able to pay for it and sit down and listen, thinking what you enough. That means they are serious and they'll probably be able to make something out of it. Otherwise, the class is probably not for everybody, especially when you don't have a gut feeling about financial instruments investing. So yeah, have a nice day. Don't be deterred. 2010 was much more horrible than this. They always tell you that, I think they've been saying it, that the S&P has not increased beyond. It's just like, I looked at the chart today and it is true. So why we are crying hula baloo, there are different response from different people depending at the point you buy and depending on the stocks you're holding. But the market itself is not reflecting that it's a bear market territory. And yeah, so, and that's why I say, go through, learn, and then maximize. At this point, where you should be putting your money is probably Nigerian stock market, where there's still hope. There are Nigerian instruments investing. In the US stock market, you can be trading on the side as a side thing to get money until at least we know what the sentiment is going to be about it. There's so many things at stake here. There's AI, you know. People have negative reflection as to how AI would affect the whole society, and then the earnings, their ability to actually get the earnings from AI or get the revenue from AI. That is there. There's the war that is at stake. You get the impact it will have on the US economy, you know, their inflation and all. You know, it will probably go high and all those stuff. So in the long term, even though it's probably less than a week or 2 weeks war, yeah, we don't know, the war is still going, we don't know how long it will take. It will see its impact in their inflation number, in the world's inflation number, even Nigeria. You know, you best want to know how to position yourself. This is why we teach what we teach, so that it's sad when people, what happened with devaluation and subsidy. A lot of people's purchasing power was actually crushed. A lot of people closed businesses and lost money. And so the best we can do is tell people there's a way you can know all these things and read it, so that when situation changes, you are able on your own to know what to do, the best investment to do. Yeah, that is what we teach, that is what we sell, that is what we hope you come patronize us to learn, so that we can withstand the let's say the I don't know, let me not say what, so that at least we can survive the times, you know. Have a nice day, and yeah, thanks for listening to my short video. Bye.